look tired.
We look tired.
Kevin, it's not appropriate to talk about other people like that. You look spry and wonderful.
We are tired. Here, is that better?
All right, Venom, chill out.
Oh, no, I gotta.
That was good. No, that was solid. You should just do that. Eddie, I'm tired. No, that just sounds like you're possessed. Now. It sounds like you're talking out of your ass. Yeah, that's good. That one, yeah, that's good.
my natural voice.
I know it's a good Venom.
I guess this is the cold open this week.
Eddie, we are hungry. We are hungry, Eddie. That's good. That's solid. That's a good one.
Sony, if you're watching, I am available to do Venom voiceover.
Why would they be watching a Star Wars podcast?
I don't know. Maybe they're trying to buy Star Wars from Disney. Who knows?
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think anyone's buying Star Wars from Disney.
I don't think anyone's going to touch this. They're like, look at that fandom. That looks horrible.
Danielle's cousin just got a job at Pixar. I thought that was pretty cool.
It's cool.
Yeah. I was talking to her dad.
What's the job?
I don't know the exact job, but she was at Summer Games Fest all weekend, so I know she's working in Pixar games.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she just moved to LA. She graduated UF. She's a Gator.
Let's go Gators. Yeah, very cool.
So yeah, but I was talking to her dad all week because her dad is Danielle's cousin is a huge collector. He has like 2 rooms dedicated to G.I. Joes, Legos, Transformers, and he collects, buys, sells, trades, goes to all the trade shows. It's nuts. I'll send you pictures. Like it's crazy how much stuff Junior has. It's pretty wild.
Does he just live off of that?
No, he
Is
does
that like
construction
Disney
too.
Oh,
He's telling me that's really busy too because he's like 12 jobs deep right now. So busy guy. Anyway, welcome to Star Wars and Scotch as Tim and I discuss our
We're going to start the stream
personal
like
life. Yeah, why not?
that?
Who cares?
The podcast?
Just roll with it.
What the fuck we're doing?
Yeah.
Podcast.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's that episode 174, I think. I don't know. I didn't even look this morning. We're in that stage of.
Are we that part of the summer already? We're just.
Yeah, I don't care. It is what it is. You get this. But Acolyte's here. We got to see Ubisoft Forward did the Outlaws showcase. We'll talk about that today. But before we go any further, we would be remiss to not mention King's Coast Coffee, which I do not have any at the moment, and I'm dying. It's in the other room.
You want a bag? You want a bag?
No, I have the coffee. I just didn't get a chance to roast it before the podcast. Not roast it, but make it before the podcast.
Well, that's your problem. You got to stop roasting your coffee before you go.
Yeah,
out.
usually, unlike Tim, who flies to New York at 1 a.m., bags all the coffee for the darkness blend only, and then comes back.
I'm not doing that bit. It's gonna be such an expensive bit.
It's gonna be hilarious. We have to go out. We're due to go up there anyway, so.
Yeah. Me too. What are you doing? I don't know.
It's just having you turn the lights on and then you sit in front of the roaster.
Just fly to the roaster for the day. Okay.
Do a little filming on the plane. It'll be funny. We're going to do the bit. It's going to be funny. It's going to be great, chat. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Anyways, head on over to kingscoastcoffee.com. Drinks are changing in the cafe. There's some things on over to summer. It's already summertime, so summer swells will be coming out. So make sure to head on over to kingscoastcoffee.com. Summer swells is great. So I think spring surge, summer swells are fantastic for cold brew. If you're a cold brew fan, you enjoy doing the cold brew. If you enjoy doing cold brew, I highly recommend checking out Summer Swells. We like to lean into the more lighter, fruitier notes for the summertime. It's kind of like fruit punch. It's weird. It's weird to say that, but it's like fruity coffee. And you don't think it's gonna taste all that great. And then you have a sip. You're like, damn, this is great. In Florida, when we're getting to like 95, 100, it's not fun drinking hot coffee. So cold brew, highly recommend it. Do we still have our cold brew kits? I think we have cold brew kits. So head over to kingscoastcoffee.com, get a cold brew kit, get your summer swell, get it going, make some cold brew, and enjoy the King's Coast. Shake up the way you drink your coffee in the summertime.
I'm a weirdo. I could be standing on a volcano on the equator, and I will still drink hot coffee.
See, I mean, like I don't mind starting the day off with it, but in the afternoon, like I enjoy having a coffee in the afternoon. But like when it's hot, like it's even hot in my studio in the afternoon. Like I start sweating. Like the amount of like heat my computers are doing, and like the air handler's trying its best, but it's hot as balls outside. And I don't want to drink hot coffee. I want something cold.
Fair. I don't drink coffee in the afternoon, so that's probably the difference. If I need more caffeine, I know this is bad during a King's Coast ad. I drink kombucha because of the probiotics and all that fun stuff.
What does it have? I don't think that's a bad.
Well, it has caffeine in it.
Yeah, but it's not like we compete with kombucha.
No, we don't. I'm just saying I don't have a second cup of coffee Or I have 2 cups of
that's
coffee in the morning, and then if I need it, I'll have kombucha like 11 o'clock.
Okay.
Everyone was
I'm happy for your time.
Yeah, everyone was making fun of me on stream when I was drinking it one morning. It was very amusing. They're like, Kevin's changed a lot over the years. He has no hair. He lost weight, and he's drinking kombucha. Anyhow, KingsCoastCoffee.com. Make sure you get those GCX tickets as well. We are just about over 2 months out from GCX. Bunch of creators have been announced that you can come hang out with. We'll have our Artist Alley. There will be some competition that will be announced as well from a fan favorite game over the years. I will say that much.
Smash Bros. We're going to get a bunch of bros together and fight.
Yeah, no, you messed that up. You were about to say it and you didn't say it. You were going to say the thing.
I realized it was 8:30 and I'm like, I shouldn't.
We'll have panels, live
Smashing your
D&D,
bros,
tabletop tavern if you want to do some D&D and some magic with your friends. So head over to gcxevent.com.
I'll have a tent just pitched there at the magic tables. So if you just want to come hang out.
Unless I have him doing something else. So he'll either be on.
You're not my boss.
Well, you're doing a meet and greet.
I'm always talent. He's my boss.
And we got to do Star Wars and Scotch live. And we got to decide who we want on that panel with us because unfortunately Alex and Molly can't make it this year. They send their regrets. They have an event the week after and a wedding the week before. So
I have a wedding this weekend.
I know. Amy told me all about it.
Yeah.
I heard
Congrats, Eric.
Yeah. Yay.
I just don't like seeing family.
He's like me.
Sorry, I love you, Eric. I just don't love our family. All right.
GCXevent.com.
Just, I don't know. Get some tickets, please.
Yeah.
Do it for me.
Ubisoft Forward was during Summer Games Fest.
It was so good.
The
Star Wars bit was really
lots
good.
of new games announced between that and Xbox and everyone else who presented. But big thing we're here to talk about today is the Star Wars Outlaws. They put out a new trailer and a 15-minute gameplay video.
It was a decent amount of time.
Enough to really get
It was cool.
Feel for the game.
What I really appreciated is the guys who are working on Outlaws. Like I know some of them, but it was really cool that after the presser they did like a Ubisoft behind the scenes or whatever. It was like a post show. And they broke down the entire gameplay segment, like that whole trailer bit that they did. And they broke down and they pointed out all the cool Easter eggs and like all of like the Star Wars lore and stuff that you might not know as you might like Star Wars, but you might not know things about Star Wars. And so they broke that down. And I really appreciated that. I thought that was really fun. And it just really showcases like how much these guys really care about making just a really cool Star Wars game. So anyways,
yeah,
I digress.
No, it's I just found the Easter egg video. I'll watch it later.
Yeah, it's really good.
I will say this. It's a lot of what I expected it to be. I thought a lot of the hate was unnecessary. I think people are a little bit happier and looking forward to it now on one side. On the other side, I will say it is very much an Ubisoft game. And I'm not saying that negative or positive. I'm stating a fact. It is very much an Ubisoft game.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has Ubisoft flair to it. I'm currently playing through Avatar, which is pretty much Far Cry, but just reskinned. But it is made by Massive. And so, like, I think they did a pretty good job of, like, with the open world. I think the missions themselves are kind of but I think there's only so much you can do within Avatar to try to keep it tight with like what a Na'vi would be doing like out in the world of Pandora. And so like I think they kind of nailed it, but it goes go to show like the level of detail and whatnot that they put into the game, and I think that's really going to carry over into Star Wars Outlaws, which I'm really excited about. It does have like Ubisoft vibe, but like what about it to you, Kevin, really stood out as like, oh, this is a Ubisoft
So
game?
when they showed the experts portion where you can go and learn skills from people, that screamed the Templar hunting trees from the past few Assassin's Creed games. Like gather evidence, unlock person. Now in this case, you're going to go and get information from them. In Assassin's Creed, you would go and kill them. So it just seemed like the same system built for a different purpose. If
Do you think they do stuff like that, like Avatar and using a lot of Far Cry formulas? From the looks of it, maybe they're kind of leaning in on Assassin's Creed for Outlaw in certain aspects. Do you think they do that for familiarity purposes? For their user base, they think that like, oh, if you played a Ubisoft game, then like, you'll kind of feel at home.
I think it's that, and I think it's also if the system works, we can implement it in a different way in this capacity. It's even the combat was very Assassin's Creed, but there was a bit of Red Dead thrown in there. From what I saw, when they were showing off some of the, I guess you call them super abilities, like the ability to mark targets, like the old Max Payne.
Yeah,
and Red
I
Dead.
really like that. That's what I saw a lot of, and the more I watched it, the more we've talked about it too. I really do feel like this is going to be a Star Wars Red Dead Redemption game.
Yeah, with an Assassin's Creed like pathway of playing it. That's how it feels to me.
Because of the stealth and whatnot.
The stealth and even the way that parrying and combat seemed to work was very, and the way atmospherically it feels very Star Wars. I'm not saying it's not whatsoever because I have it on right now and I'm kind of watching it again. But the way she's walking through everything and just the chatter reminded me of walking through Rome as Ezio and like just the Italian chatter in your ears and things like that.
See, that just made me think more of Red Dead. The more I watched it, the more I was like, oh, this feels like walking through like one of the bigger towns, like Saint Denis. Yeah, like that was the vibe that I got because it's like Star Wars. That's one of Star Wars' main pillars is the Western theme.
Yep.
The Western theme is very, very strong, especially in the Outer Rim. So like that's where just like more and more I watched, I was like, damn, they really did make a Star Wars Red Dead Redemption game. And to that point, I truly hope that we will see some type of groundwork laid out for multiplayer in this.
Yeah.
They haven't talked about it, but it would blow my mind that they are constantly advertising this. And like, it's one of their main points is like, this is the first true open world Star Wars game. And it would really be, I think, crushing to a lot of gamers that enjoy, the Star Wars IP. They enjoy the idea of having an open world game to explore and really like immerse themselves in. And then the inability to share that with friends is still. I feel like it's going to feel kind of lonely at times.
Has anyone besides Rockstar been able to nail the formula of single player game to a multiplayer experience?
I don't know. Great question. Not that I can think of.
Because I can't think of any games besides GTA and Rockstar that have an existing multiplayer experience that people still enjoy. I know other games have created, like Uncharted had the PvP mode, which shockingly over the years I realized there was a lot of people that really enjoyed that.
It was very competitive. A lot of big names came out of that, oddly enough.
Interesting. Yeah. So yeah, but that was, again, that's more of a PvP experience. I'm talking an open world experience where you can explore and there's other people there, like Red Dead or GTA.
Yeah.
So I don't know if any other game has really nailed that aspect of it where they had an immersive single player experience. Keep in mind, this game's only about 30 hours of story, 60 if you're a completionist. So for me, it's probably like 40 or 50 because I won't want to do every achievement, but I'll want to do every mission.
But I'll do the side missions and stuff. So like, I don't care about doing 100% completion because like that is monotonous to me.
Yeah.
But I do, if the side missions are fun, like we'll use Jedi Survivor, for example. The bounty hunter missions were very fun.
I agree.
And I'm glad that I completed them because you get Boba Fett at the end, which was really neat. And I enjoyed that. And it wasn't this huge like time sink, it was fun to go out and do the thing. And then you got a cool little reward for it. And then you just kind of like moved on.
Also, if you saved it for the end, you were massively OP for most of the bounties.
Oh yeah, you could just rip right through it, which is what I did.
Yeah, I did that too.
Yeah, and so it's like that's what I'm hopeful for. I'm hopeful that like the side quests will be fun enough and engaging where it's like, yeah, I don't mind taking time to go and do this thing. I don't like being turned into an errand boy. I don't like doing grocery runs or like things like that. Like if it's going to be a side quest, I want your story to be as impactful as a main story quest.
Given that there is essentially rankings for factions, makes me think that side quests will be a big deal because when
Yeah.
you go to space in the trailer and you leave the planet, I forget what the original planet was, and you have the mission to defend the Pikes from the pirates. You get better standing with the Pikes, which seems like you'll have to make choices because obviously there's probably going to be instances where you're going to piss off one cartel.
They show that in the trailer. There's a dialogue sequence where she's like, "I want to finish the mission," or like something else, and she ends up like killing the person that's like in front of her. Which then you saw like the standings like increase,
which is good replayability
for the Hutts. Oh, that's what I said when we were watching it too. I was like, oh, this is going to be great for people who want to do multiple playthroughs because it's like Fable, or any of those other games where it's like, I aligned myself this way, kind of like it's like in Red Dead too. Like if you took the good route, you had one ending, and you took the bad route, you had a different ending. But like this is like, okay, what happens if I 100% with the Hutts and I completely screw over everybody else? Like what happens?
I don't think it'll be as dynamic as Fable or KOTOR or Mass Effect with your decisions in that way, but I have a feeling you might lose access to certain missions and you won't get to experience some things. So
I'm sure you'll get different cutscenes and different dialogue, and maybe you'll like unlock like a certain like cosmetic or something. There's got to be reasons for you to do that. I don't think you'd introduce a system that's so vast as alignment with multiple cartels, and then you don't give people a reason to chase something.
Right.
Seems like it'd be a lot for naught.
Yeah, and another thing, and this is not from this trailer, it's from the old one, the GTA Wanted levels I thought was pretty, like your Empire Wanted level. And if you hit the max...
like the more shit you do, the worse it
gets.
gets.
Death Troopers coming after you if you hit the max.
Did you see that she took down a Death Trooper, which I was really intrigued by?
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. Like, this is like one of the most special force agents in the Empire, and she just did a stealth attack.
I have a feeling that's a assassinated Imperial officer mission.
It's gonna have to be like, I would hope that like her takedown skill was like maxed out or something. Because like I feel like if you run to a Death Trooper, you should be scared.
It might be one of those situations where you can only stealth kill them, and if you try and go toe to toe, you're done.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, how was she able to even get that close to them? Like, that's the whole thing. Is like, did she have like max stealth? Or did she have like in her skill tree? Like, where was she? Like, how far along in the story was it? Like, is that at the beginning? Like, can you just like have the skills right off the rip? I have a lot of questions, which I'm happy about, because if I would have just watched that trailer, I'm like, okay, cool, Star Wars. I think I would have been very let down. But I finished watching that and I was like, ooh, this looks cool. One of the biggest things that like my biggest takeaway, which I like scream tweeted about, was the lack of transition,
I was about to bring
the
that
lack
up.
of loading screen. We are getting a seamless No Man's Sky style space travel to go from ground to atmosphere to space and back down again. You can do that in this game, and it was so cool. It's like they pointed the ship towards the planet, towards the surface, and there was a large cloud formation, and they flew through the clouds. Like, that was so neat to me. The only question that I have is landing. Does landing become on rails? Like, if you go to a spaceport, does it just automatically put you down into it? If I don't want to go to a spaceport and I want to go off somewhere else, will I be allowed to do that? Like, how much freedom do I actually have? During the gameplay trailer, there was a lot of like editing. They did like the heavy Star Wars transitions, which I thought was really cool because it made me feel like I was almost watching a Star Wars show, which was cool. I think the entire way that they handled the presentation was great. I really felt like we were along for a ride while we were watching it. It just wasn't just like, oh, here's this dev and they're gonna do this thing, and like, yeah, like it was a stereotypical like dev showcase where like they have terrible aim and like it's kind of like the controls are kind of janky, but for the most part, I thought it was really well done.
I'm watching the hyperdrive jump right now. So here's my theory on landing. Landing will be on the rails because when you switch locations, it's to the orbit of the planet, and then the closer you get to the planet, the HUD disappears, and then it looks like it takes over when you break the clouds and lands you.
See, I don't, but that's my point though. Is like I feel like that was a post-edit transition just to kind of speed things along. Because everything was really fast.
Yeah,
like there was never any downtime. Even when she was driving around on her speeder bike, when she was going from point A to point B, there was like a third person camera that was like out into the distance that was like watching her, and then there was like heavy like Star Wars slide transitions. And so even then I was like, is that a loading screen or is that them doing some editing.
They definitely cut when she got to Tatooine, but as you're coming through the clouds back down to the atmosphere, your HUD literally disappears and you're in the same view, and then it looks like it cuts to a landing screen, which is probably a loading screen on the back
But
end.
that's what I'm saying. But I don't. But that's the whole thing, though. Is like they said that when you get down into the planet's atmosphere, you can still fly around.
There is a plate. Yeah, no, there was a point where you could. It looked like when she was coming into Mos Eisley, though, it took over for her.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like, I wonder if there is an option to like land at loading dock, and they don't want you to like crash your ship into a building. It would be wonky.
Right.
And so I think that's why they take over the landing into a spaceport. But I wonder if like you go out into a field, like can I land my ship there in just an open field?
Got it.
Those are some of my questions that I'm having. And so like that's what I'm wondering is like if you go to a populated area into a spaceport, does the game go on rails? But how much freedom do I really have with overall control of my ship?
My assumption would be is there'll be different landing points on the planet based on mission objectives, places, things like that. I don't think it'll be No Man's Sky where it's just like, all right, plop down and you're good. I don't think we're there yet with such an immersive story experience. So that's what I think. But
I was very thankful for not having a loading screen though. Like when they went from space down to the planet, like that was
yeah,
chef
even
kiss.
if it's
Fantastic.
your ship pulling in a port is the loading screen, I'm fine. I don't care. That's
They
totally
just
fine.
like it wasn't Starfield, and I was happy about that. So thank you, Ubisoft.
I mean, Bethesda, it'll be 2040 and Bethesda will still do loading screens because they're Bethesda. That's what they do. And we still won't have Elder Scrolls 6. That trailer was 7 years ago, by the way, yesterday.
Gross.
Yeah, disgusting. We've seen 30 seconds. Don't announce games so early.
Oh, what was the other one that they announced for 2026?
Gears of War?
Oh, it was Assassin's Creed Sand of Time,
Oh, I didn't even see that
which
one.
I was so excited for. And then it's 2026. You're like, what the
What about
We got
they
2
did
years?
the Gears prequel too during the Xbox showcase?
Is that when 2026
No,
as
that
well?
one's like 5 years in the making right now. Like they just started working on it a little while ago. They don't have anything to show off. We're not getting that to like 2029. It is a prequel though. We know that because
It is a
Dom's in the
prequel.
trailer and he's definitely dead. So anyway, but one last thing before we switch to Acolyte. I'm watching the combat sequence when she's sneaking around the pirate camp, and pull the Rodian over the railing attack stealth.
Yeah.
That is straight out of Assassin's Creed. Like the only thing it's missing is the ending animation of plunging your hidden blade into his neck and then pulling it out. Like even the way she pulled him over. So again, I am totally fine with taking assets from other games and putting them into experiences like this and building around it. I don't care. Also, the sheriff's name is Quint in this part, and that is the guy's name from Jaws, the crazy sailor guy that takes them out to hunt Jaws in Jaws 1. Don't know if there's a correlation there, but I did want to point that out because Jaws is one of my favorite movies. But yeah, and then when they go to the shooting part, that's when I'm like, oh, Red Dead. The way she's marking targets, the way explosive items and other items in the space are marked. I want to see more of how you use your little friend. I forget their name. Your little pet. Nyx, thank you. I want to see more on Nyx.
Nyx?
Yeah, I love the idea that Nyx can go get you weapons, and I wonder if there's like a distraction. Does Nyx have their own skill tree?
I would assume so.
Just little things like that. Also, Nyx is adorable the way they hang on the back of your bike as you're speeding away. It's very cute. But Star Wars Outlaws, August 28th, if you have early access, I believe.
It'll be to the 27th. It comes out August 30th, but if you have Ubisoft Plus,
Which I will. And I highly recommend you do too.
Honestly, if you don't have Ubisoft Plus, I think you are missing. I think you're going to be wasting a lot of money. We talked about this on stream, and between Assassin's Creed Shadows and Outlaws, you would have to pay like almost $300 to have everything and to have early access and like all that stuff. Or you could pay, was it $18 a month for Ubisoft Plus?
17 or 18, yeah.
Yeah, it's like $18 a month, and you get access to the premium version of Outlaws and Shadows. You get them 3 days early. So I think, like, yeah, you don't get to own your, like, own your game. You're not buying the license to play it. You're just renting it.
It's Blockbuster Video,
and
dude.
like honestly, I don't see a problem with that unless you are really emotionally tied to the game and you're like, it's 3 a.m. 5 years from now, and I really wish I could play that, and you aren't subscribed to USAP Plus. Like, that's the only time where I'm just like, that's probably where it kind of bites you in the ass. But if you're a gamer where you play through a story and then you put it away and you're good, then I think Ubisoft Plus will be fine. And honestly, you just treat it like a trial. Like, you play through it and you're like, oh, this game was really freaking good. I want to buy it. Wait till it's on sale. It'll go on sale. Buy it when it's $10.
There you go.
But don't give Ubisoft $260.
No, you could if you played.
Just give them the $18 a month.
If you played for 4 months, both games, is that a fair assessment? 2 months each. I don't even think you'll spend a month on Outlaws, but 2 months each, you'd probably be paying the price of one game. So,
yep,
there you go. I would do Ubisoft Plus if I were you.
Do Ubisoft Plus.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk about Acolyte Episode 3 in just a minute. And we are back.
Hello.
Yes. Tim, you said it best before we got online that if you were looking for action in this episode, we are still building the story. However, interesting theories are popping up, and I have one that I'd love to run by you. But overall, what was your initial thought of this episode?
From a story building standpoint, I thought it was great. It made me hate the Jedi. I don't feel like I hate the fact that there is this idea that they can just show up and like, you got kids, we want to see them. You know, like I don't like
also,
that.
Why are the
just,
witches not allowed to train their children the way they want to?
I don't know. That was also really off-putting. I don't like that these people were just seen as bad. Like, they're witches, okay, but what have they done in the past? Apparently, they were almost run to extinction. There is just but a small remnants of these people left in this small coven, and they've got some interesting magic abilities. Apparently, they can create life. So I mean, like, I guess from the Jedi's point of view, it's dark. It is the dark side. It is everything that is there that they teach against. So to that extent, I get it, but still, that's Jedi doctrine and dogma, and the more we get into Star Wars, the more pious and pompous I've come to see the Jedi as, and I just like this episode really put a bad taste in my mouth with them just showing up and then just like, we don't like what you're doing. Give us your kids. Like, we have the right to test them and take them away from you. Like, all of that was really off-putting, and I didn't like it. So that was a big part for me. The more when they were taught, when the mom was taught, Mother
Coral or Anastasia.
Anastasia. When Mother Anastasia was talking about the Force, it reminded me a lot of the Open Hand. When they were talking about like Force wielders and how they feel like they have the right to wield the Force, and the way that they talked about like the connections and strings. Like, I liked that. It was very High Republic. It was stuff that I felt like we had like heard before. So like that was a big question mark for me, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I want to know more about you and your teachings and like how you perceive the Force. And then also the entire, like, that whole ritual that they were doing, like the mark and then the planets, the 2 planets, like those are the rings. Like, I guess those are also like, that's from the logo. Like the rings that were kind of like in alignment with each other during that whole scene. Yeah, I mean, like, overall, for me personally, this episode was good to watch from a lore perspective, to understand more about the world of Acolyte. As far as like progressing the story, this felt like this could have just been like flashbacks, I guess, more so than like anything else than a full episode. I kind of wanted to progress the story from where we left it with at the end of episode 2 with Kanaka. Kanaka?
Kelnaka.
Kanaka.
Kelnaka.
No, Kanaka's a different guy. But yeah, I mean, like, so overall, I'd probably give this like a 7, maybe like a 6.5. Like, if I was gonna rate it, Like overall, I have a lot more questions. Like how did May start a fire by lighting the books and then all of a sudden killed everybody? That doesn't make sense to me unless there was something to do with like her skills with this dark magic and it just erupted.
May didn't kill everybody.
This whole thing of like, I'm gonna kill you because I don't want you to leave. She really like just flipped, and so like there's a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions. I also feel like there's more to it than just like May doing all of it. Like why did May come and and she's now looking for all these Jedi? Why did Master is it Torbnir? No, that's an Overwatch character.
Torben. Tom and Baratheon.
Yeah. He's like, I knew you'd come. We thought we were doing the right thing. Like I think that they were given orders to wipe out the Coven.
So let me give you the way the bodies are laying is not. No one was burned.
No one was burned from the fire. So that's why I was like, either May did some kind of crazy, like, dark side, like, blast and it killed everybody, or the Jedi killed him.
Maybe. But here's the catch-22 in all of this. We have not seen the last flashback, and here's why. When they go back to the ship at the end where Oshi's laying in the bed, and they pan, they're fuzzy in the background, but Master Torben's has his scar. And it's
on his eye?
It's red. He did not have it.
Oh, yeah, he didn't get that when he was there.
So now all of a sudden he's got his scar, and it looks like he's missing his eye now, like it's white, like it is when we meet him. So something happened. Some sort of
it could have been the other mom,
Mother Coral. Yeah, something happened.
She had that staff with the blade.
Something happened. It was not a quick little like May shout. There was an altercation of some sort in some way. I'm not saying May didn't do something, but I'm saying May doing something may have been a window for the Jedi to run in there because they were there.
They were already there, right? And it's not like they're like, oh, there's a fire, we need to go help.
No, they were there. Their camp was not inside the city walls, so they were there already. So the Jedi did something wrong. We still don't know what it is. And May started the fire. We know that. But perhaps one of the Jedi we know Jedi can control fire. We've seen it happen in multiple mediums, namely Kanan. But who's to say that the Jedi didn't spread the fire and make things worse? So something's off. Master Torben's final words really lead me to believe that they did something terrible, and we're going to learn more about it in the next few weeks. And I think that also has to do with the compassion that Master Soul has for Oshi and even for May. Like, he didn't take May out in that scene. He could have. He was trying to reason with her the entire time. I also don't believe when he said we didn't realize the planet was uninhabited, because he said previously we were stationed on Brendok. And we know the Jedi create outposts all around the galaxy. So something they're lying about something. I will say that this episode, the mystery has deepened now for me, and now they have their hooks in me. Now I'm like, well, now I got to know.
Exactly. Like for me, it's the same thing. There's a lot of question marks, and I want to see how this ends. And from an open, I can totally see why people are like, I didn't like this episode, because if they're looking at it just from the surface and they don't really care as much about like the overarching like world building that's going on and us learning more about like what's happening during the High Republic, I could see this as like face value of like, I tuned in because of like this murder mystery, and like this episode definitely did not scratch any of that.
Let's break down the Coven. So they said a lot of Night Sistery things. Do I think they're Night Sisters?
Very much so.
No, but I think
not at all.
Maybe in history there was dark side Force user group, and some of them became Night Sisters, and some of them became this. Maybe there's other offshoots, just like any religion. But they said a lot of Night Sistery things, and the way they're acting is very Night Sistery. They talked about how their powers could be conceived as dark by the outside world. They talked about being exiled. A lot of things that kind of added up to, having some sort of shared history with Night Sisters. I don't know the details on that. The other interesting thing is when they originally said your mothers in the first episode, we always thought it was just a family with two moms. That is not the case whatsoever. We have Mother Anastasia, who seems to know, Tim, how to manipulate midichlorians to make life. That sounds familiar. Plagueis had to learn it somewhere. They said that this episode was going to piss off a lot of the core people. I'm so intrigued because here's my thing. Is she created life in Mother Coral's womb. Same thing happened with Luke with his mother. So we know this, but we're learning that it's conceived.
No, Anakin's mother.
Anakin's mother. Sorry. See, I messed it up. Does that make me not a Star Wars fan? Just had to throw that in.
God, you hate Star Wars.
Look
don't
at me.
you?
I shouldn't have a podcast anymore.
Hey guys, we're looking for a new host for Star Wars at Scotch. Kevin's out.
So this is lining up. And again, this could be bait and switch. They love to do this too. But Plagueis at this point could very well be alive. And everyone's like, well, the person in the mask is not Plagueis. No, because the person in the mask is the apprentice, not the master. The apprentice is training the acolyte to kill the master with them. That is what's happening.
And then the rule of two then continues.
I am convinced that the acolyte or the apprentice is Kamir, who we met in episode 2.
Oh, interesting.
Someone took and analyzed the voice modulation on the mask, and it matches up perfectly when you remove the effects to Kamir.
Oh God, man, technology sucks.
I would have thought it anyway because
time.
the way he talks to her when I watched it back with Hunter, I was like, oh, he's being a tricky little bastard right now. The things he was saying to her, and he was like mildly manipulating her. I'm like, she doesn't know, and he is.
Oh, I like that a lot, though.
Because it can't. I think the person in the mask shouldn't be someone we know, but the person in the mask's master being Plagueis would be so interesting, and then Plagueis knowing or
time wise, I think that would work out.
Works out perfectly. People have studied the moon life cycle, which matches up in years to like Plagueis' age at this point. He would be younger.
Jesus.
Like it all aligns to be Plagueis. Now
that's amazing.
If they didn't want it to be Plagueis and they wanted it to be Darth Tenebrae, that's also on the table. That's Plagueis' master.
I would like that. That would also make sense.
And it would just mean that Plagueis learned it from Darth Tenebrae. But the way Palpatine describes it is that Plagueis was the one who learned how to do it.
In the book, that's how it's explained too.
Right.
Because Plagueis kills Tenebrae.
So either they discover, but then that would mean that this person is this could be after Plagueis killed Tenebrae. Mm-hmm. And then this is his first pupil. His first, and then the pupil's now training to kill him. He'll kill the Kamir and maybe May, who knows? And, then in 20 years, no, probably more than that. What was 40, 50 years, he'll find Palpatine.
Okay.
So that's where I think this is all headed, is we've now discovered the force to manipulate the formula, if you will, to do it. Now the only thing, the blank that needs to be filled in is how does Plagueis learn it from someone who's dead? Or did he learn it from her already? Or did she leave behind some of her research? There's a bunch of different things, ways we can do it. Does he bring her back to life somehow? Maybe she taught him already. Because the thing that Palpatine says to Anakin is to keep people from dying. He doesn't talk about creating life necessarily. He says to keep people from dying.
Right.
So I don't know. It's an interesting theory, but it's the one that makes the most sense right now, given the fact that they've revealed that like this is how the dark side can create life.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
is that even the dark side, or is it just considered the dark side?
And that's my point. Is like dark, like that's not dark magic then. Like it's like creating life is like
science.
a very like pure thing. It's like.
But wasn't Plagueis more of a scientist?
He is a scientist, but it's also like I don't know how that is. But it's scientist from Plagueis' standpoint. Like he was all about science, but this isn't science. Like what she did is that she created life because their coven is all women and they don't have a male. And so like that was the whole point of like on Dathomir with like the males of Brox, like why they were kept as like lower limbs. is they were just meant for mating. Like they were just meant for creating life, and like that was
Couldn't it be like some form of weird alchemy though, where you mix magic and science together, and this is what you get?
That's IVF, Kevin.
I don't think you have a mystic in the room when you're getting IVF, like channeling the dark side.
Kalima. But yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, like it was like I heard her say that, like I created life in you, and it didn't shock me. I was like, all right, cool. How'd that work? Like that was really like that was it.
Yeah.
Like that was because like it's not something new in Star Wars. It's not just like holy shit. Like if you know, you know. It's something that Palpatine did. I mean, like it's how Anakin came to be. This isn't like the first time that like what is it, autogenesis? Is that the right word? But anyways, yeah, I mean, like it's just like I just want to know more. Like that was like that's the biggest thing for me is like this episode's a big question mark, and I think like I will probably appreciate this episode more later on down the road because we'll get the full picture. Yep. Like I guarantee you the planets in the alignment. I guarantee you that's a really important.
I'm
thing.
not going to say who. Someone that went to the premiere texted me and said, "I loved your take on episode 1 and 2, like not bringing you all the way in." But they said by the end of episode 4, I was completely hooked. But I felt exactly how you did at episode 1 and 2. And this is someone who is through and through a fan. Obviously, they're at the premiere. So I'm starting to see the puzzle piece now slide into place where I was like, oh, now I'm intrigued. So I think episode 4 will shed some more light on that. Also, Mother Anastaea's ability to do whatever the hell she did to Master Torben was wild.
Yeah, she possessed him
instantaneously.
Cool. Yeah, it was very, very cool.
Going down the Easter egg list, there's some fun ones. So the spice creams, they are in the Galaxy's Edge cookbook.
Oh, cool. How do you make a spice cream?
Well, it's in the cookbook. You got to buy it. I can't tell you for free.
So there's spice in it? Like, do I get like a...
They look like macaroons. That's what they remind me of. The thread, a new way of looking at the Force. I don't think it's necessarily new. I think it's just a combined philosophy from a bunch of other ways we've heard the Force referenced. To me,
they are macaroons.
To me, it sounds like a combination of the Night Sister and, like Tim mentioned, the Path of the Open Hand or the Closed Fist, whatever. They would be post-close. Well, no, we know they become the Nihil, so it goes Path of the Open Hand, Closed Fist, and then they'll eventually become the Nihil, which we don't know where the Nihil are at this point.
We have no idea. They haven't mentioned pirates at all.
If the Nihil are gone, that's fine, but please, at some point in this series, please, I would love to see the Dreadgear.
I want a leveler.
I would hope the leveler is gone by now, because if it's been around for all this time.
I want to see one just like sitting in the corner, just hanging out.
The Jogan fruit that she gives to them, we all know Jogan fruit. It's been in Clone Wars. It was in Rebels. That's what Ezra steals with Zed in early season 1. Galaxy Sphere of Witches, resembling the Night Sisters. We talked about that. Oh, the Twi'lek Coven sister was awesome. She had her.
Did you like that? She had like her on her Leku. She had a bunch of like gold stuff.
But she also had the mark on her Leku, not her head. Whatever the mark of their coven is.
Did you notice when they were doing the Jedi test, the little screen? It was just like the same screen they used for Anakin in episode 1.
Also the blood sample.
Yep, blood sample. I liked that it was a Lothal cat. And a space station. I thought that was, but that wasn't any space station, right?
Oh, you think that was
was that Starlight?
I don't think it was Starlight Beacon.
No, is that just a normal space?
I feel
station?
Like they would have taken that out of the test rotation after what happened to Starlight Beacon.
I don't know. Maybe they just like it. Kind of looked like Starlight Beacon, didn't it?
Could be. I think it's too small to be Starlight Beacon.
No, it definitely was a Starlight Beacon. Never mind. Starlight Beacon has a big pyre on top.
And then the witches mentioning they're exiled. That's what the Night Sisters on Peridia say as well. But I don't think there's any correlation.
I want to know what happened. Were they wiped out because of Jedi?
Maybe we'll go even farther back. They are very confrontational with the Jedi. The moons of Brendok. That is what we see in the opening sequence. That's what represents the two sisters, light, dark. At one point, Mother Anastasia says, when she's talking about their powers, that people consider them to be dark and unnatural. Where have we heard that before?
Dark and
Power
unnatural.
that people think to be dark and unnatural.
I mean, maybe maybe it really is more than just dark side. Maybe it really is outside of the Force, and it really is like a manipulation of that energy.
Well, dark and light are also just constructs of the people wielding them. The Force is the Force.
Right, but we've always assumed that magic is different than Force wielding. Because like you look at the Night Sisters and like the green fire and stuff that they pull from, like that's a different power well that they pull
and
from.
what do people that are scared of something, they always say it's bad.
Right, no, that's what I'm saying. But I'm just like, when even Palpatine is saying that some see it as unnatural, like the Force is natural. The Force is an all living thing. So then therefore and thusly the Force cannot be unnatural. So whatever power they draw from is either a mutation of the Force or it is a completely different power well altogether.
No, it's still the Force. She even said.
I mean, like, is it?
Yeah, she said even some call it the Force.
Then what about Marin's powers when her hand with the green flames and stuff? Is that the Force?
It's just it's a different way to use it.
I mean,
think about it.
But the Jedi do? The Jedi can't do that.
No, because they've trained for thousands of years to use it one way, just like the Sith have trained for thousands of years to use it a different way.
But why don't Wayfinders? Why can't Wayfinders do
because
that?
they're not going to tap.
Why can't Ahsoka do that?
Because they won't tap into that side of the Force because they consider it to be
But
evil.
but if there is a dark version of that, there has to be a light version. of that.
Yeah, we saw that with the Mountain people in the last season of Tales of the Empire.
So what happened there?
It's
We know that there's an inverse of the Night Sisters.
It's different manifestations of how to use the power flowing through the universe. It's like trying to explain the.
This is why we need an explanation of how magic works in Star Wars.
No, that's the mystical part of it. You can't explain it.
But I would like to know how it works. What are the mechanics behind it? Just because Dave says so, I want to know.
But no,
more.
it's because George said so. Literally, people were yelling last week about the fire in Episode 1 in space, and people were like, "How could Leslie Headland use it?" George Lucas.
Oh God, there's
quote,
fire in Star
said,
Wars.
"When I need to use fire in space, I will use it for my universe. If it makes sense."
Sure.
Like, who cares? We're not going to start justifying.
A lot of sci-fi uses fire in space.
Yeah, we can't start justifying space magic and all that stuff. It's like people with the.
Oh, I don't want to justify it. I just want to know more about it. I want to know: is it really the Force, or is space magic different than the Force? That's all. I just would like a better explanation of how do the witches pull their power.
It's all the Force being manifested in different ways. That's how it works. Bows and arrows also used by the Night Sisters. So that was an interesting correlation because I don't think we've ever seen bows and arrows. Well, I won't say ever. Obviously, the Ewoks use them, but interesting that the witches use them too. We discussed they have no father. We discussed Osha and May's conception, the potential of Darth Plagueis, the midichlorian blood test, the texting screen Tim just brought up. Osha does say to Mother Anastasia, "Will I ever see you again?" Throwback to Anakin talking to Shmi. Osha's Jedi symbol drawing, that's assuming that was drawn before, meaning she can see things.
See, I saw that, and I wasn't sure if she did
Same.
that after she had met with the Jedi or not. I wasn't sure.
Same. And I didn't see the iconography anywhere. Maybe it was on their robes or something, and I missed it. But interesting that she would draw it either way.
She could have seen it in the ship. Like, I don't know.
And then, the last thing that's on there is Torben's eye scar, which I brought up to you already. So, I don't know. There's a lot to consider there. I think episode 4, there's a reason they showed the first 4 episodes to the press.
Sure.
And in a week, you and I will know what that reason was. Overall, what's your temperature on the show right now?
I still like it. Like, I mean, like I'm not the biggest fan of hitting this episode right after the first 2. But we had to have this episode in order to progress forward. So I'm okay with it. Like, there's still a lot more show to go. So I'm just not gonna write off the show because this wasn't my favorite episode. Like, there's a lot of other episodes and other shows where I'm like, that wasn't my favorite, but I know why it had.
This episode is also 10 minutes longer than the other ones.
Well, it needed to be longer because we had to get all the way through that trauma, that point of where Osha and May are at this like divide of where they like neither of them really know what happens to their family, and they're both kind of left hanging out in the air, and they're both being lied to.
So what do we need to figure out? We need to figure out how May survived. We need to figure out how May's going to know what the Jedi did, whatever that is, to what degree. We don't know to what degree it is. Maybe May and the Jedi did that to the witches. We're unsure. But those are the two things that we need to solve here. So we know we'll go back to that moment, whether it's a flashback. I don't know if there'll be another entire episode of flashback. More so maybe moments.
We might see something of like Osha's training in the Jedi Temple.
Yep. And her time as a Jedi, leading us back to where we started in the beginning. So, by the way, Witcher season 1, this is how you tell a story out of order with context and making sure we know where we are in the story, just so you're aware.
Yeah, I'm like that they open it up with 16 years before. Like, okay, I know
when
exactly
they revealed, which by the way, Liam Hemsworth does not look bad as Geralt. The problem is,
he looks okay.
The problem is you started with the perfect Geralt, so we just go downhill from here. That's the poor guy's problem.
Now you gave us the Dollar General.
Exactly,
version.
he looks like Temu Geralt now because Henry Cavill is the perfect Geralt. But even with that, I see people defending. They're like, season 1 was the best season. I'm like, are you high? Season 2 was by far
season 1 was
better.
It was atrocious.
Season 1 was a great story. It was just told completely out of order, and we were never privy to that. So anyway, but yeah, this is how you tell a story out of order with context and making sure we know where we are in the storyline. So potentially next episode, we will get more answers and then kind of move forward. I'm assuming the reveal of whoever the Sith, I'm going to say apprentice. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the reveal of who the Sith apprentice is probably won't hit until maybe episode 5 or 6.
Yeah, we'll get like the halfway
And
point.
if Plagueis is the big reveal, I would say that is going to be the very end of the show and lead us into season 2.
Yeah, you would definitely like drop the mic at the end.
Like him going up to him and being like my master or something and bowing, and then it's like,
something.
There he is in all his glory, which would be so crazy to see him live action because we've only seen renderings, pictures, books, comics. Like it's never been him. So again, it'd be a wild way to see someone like that. But yeah, it hooked me a little more. I'm excited to. I am looking forward to next week now.
I like this show. I enjoy it.
It's a great change of pace, new characters.
What's crazy too is that Kyler is sitting down and watching this with me and is comprehending what's going on.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's like that I know it's a good show. Like when I can enjoy it and my almost 5-year-old sits down and then he like can tell me the premise of the show. And he was like asking questions and stuff like while we were going through it. But for the most part, he was kind of just sitting there and just watching. And like he got the whole thing, and that was really fun for me.
I love that. Yeah, Hunter does not like when their eyes turn black. He's not a fan of it at all.
Fair.
He always looks at me like and he keeps going. Is that going to happen again? I was like, I'm seeing it for the first time too, buddy. I don't know. So yeah, but all right, cool. Well, episode 4 of Acolyte next Wednesday. Tim and I will be back. And next week is great because I'm going to record Star Wars and Scotch, and then I'm going to go to Full Sail. I have some stuff to do at Full Sail.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Speaking at Full Sail, which is fun. And then
Cool.
Thursday, I go on vacation for a few days. So go.
Cool. What's that like?
You've been on vacation. You went to Disney a few weeks ago.
That was a night.
That was 2 nights, wasn't it?
We stayed for 1 night.
Well, I'm going Thursday and I'm back on Sunday, so it's not like 2 weeks of vacation.
Have a great time.
October.
He's gonna go. He's October. He's going to Bora Bora.
No, God, no, I can't afford Bora Bora. We were looking at because we have the timeshare exchange, so we were looking at like Jamaica or something. But
He's going to Tokyo without me.
I would never, ever go to a Star Wars event without you.
He's going to Star Wars with me.
Ever. I just need them to announce
Damn.
that Orlando is 2025 or 6.
I would love that. God, I would
That'd
love
make
that
our
so
life
much.
so easy.
I've talked to so many people that are like, I'm going to Tokyo for Star Wars. I'm just like, How are you affording
We
that?
did get DMs from people, but they were like, the tickets are only 2,000, and it's like, but we want to take our wives and stuff. We just can't.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but if I'm going to Japan, I have to take. my
Yeah,
wife with
same,
me. I just-
same. And my oldest daughter, so.
I can't. Well, yeah.
But all right, well, we'll be back next week. Make sure you go check out Tim Darkness 429 everywhere on the internet, streaming Monday through Friday, sometimes on Saturday, but not on Sundays. And Twitch and YouTube, those are the two places, or TikTok. Those are the places you can check him out. He's on a variety kick right now, so you never know what you're gonna get.
There's nothing to play. There's literally nothing that is considered homeworthy unless you're a Destiny player. And I will be honest with you, Destiny has never done well for me.
I will say that the spice of life is variety, and I'm jealous that you can fire up whatever you want right now. So the grass is always greener. And you can check me out. I'm KMagic101 on Twitch, everywhere on the internet except Twitter. I'm Kevin X Vision, also on YouTube and TikTok. We are Star Wars and Scotch, so you can rate, review, subscribe. Thank you for all the nice comments and joining in on the discussion, whether it's YouTube. I'm not going to thank you, TikTok. You guys are never fun.
I think they're great. You guys are awesome. Keep the comments coming on TikTok too.
No matter how
right.
hateful they may be. We'll see you next week for episode 4 of Acolyte. Until then,
The Force be with you.